Well, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to talk about what's commonly referred to as the three most important aspects of any negotiation, and that's information, information, and information. This is going to encompass tactfully conveying information to the other side about our position and tactfully extracting valuable information from the other side about their position. But let's start off by looking at some bad examples of the Pawn Star customers who come in who are conveying too much and the wrong types of information.
What do we have here?
An ugly piece of artwork.
Okay. So it's done by
Snowden.
M.L. Snowden.
Got it from a former in-law, and I'd like to get rid of it, just like I got rid of them.
All right, all right.
I have an antique ivory statue of two skeletons playing poker that I'm hoping to sell today. I own a store here in town. It's been a hard month, so I'm looking to raise a little capital so I can, pay rent, bills, people. Whatever they'd like to give me would be really awesome, though.
I have a 1972 Catalina 27. I'd really like to sell this boat today because I've already purchased another one.
Where did you get this thing? Well, I'm a magician, and I was in a magic auction. I won a bunch of props, and this was one of them in there. And when I got home, I realized what I really have, which is something I didn't want in my house. It doesn't even stay in the house. It sleeps in the garage.
What are you looking to do with them?
Well, I'm about to enter a barbecue competition. Entry fee is kind of high, and then I need to buy my product.
All right, like I promised, very bad examples. I mean, why not just come out and say, I'm desperate, make me a bad offer? That's essentially what these people are doing. You've got the lady with the statue. She says, this is an ugly statue. Why would you denigrate the thing that you're trying to sell? Not only does she say the statue is ugly, but I'm desperate to get rid of it because it reminds me of my ex-husband's family. That's horrible. The other person, I've got to make payroll in my business, so whatever they give me would be awesome. One of the worst things you could ever say. The other guy, I've already got a second boat, so I've got to sell this boat soon. And then the most recent one, the barbecue guy, I've got to get some money to enter this barbecue competition. So all very bad examples. You do not want to communicate that type of information to the other side. But wait, there's more. We have more bad examples. Remember when we talked about the sunk cost fallacy and how people view things that they get for free when they go to sell them? They don't really have high standards for how much money they're trying to get out of them. They view it incorrectly that any money that they get is kind of like free money, so they're not going to negotiate that hard. Whatever you give them, they'll probably be happy with. Okay, you do not want to communicate that to the other side, which is exactly what these people did.
I'm really excited about them. They're really neat. Where did you get these?
My husband dug them out of the trash and brought them home.
It's an old Indian dowry chest.
Okay, and where'd you get it?
On the curb with a free sign on it.
Okay.
So again, not information you want to convey to the other side. You want to keep that information to yourself. Now, even the pawn store employees sometimes make the mistake of conveying too much information. Let's look at these examples here.
I have a candy shop myself, so I love things like this, vending machines and candy dispensers. So where did you get this?
It's been in the family for a while, but it's been in my garage collecting dust for 20 years. My wife wants me to get rid of it.
$8,000? Listen, that sounds way, way high, but I do think you have some value here. Since you started so high, I'm gonna start so low. How about 700?
That's pretty low.
Quite frankly, I have no idea. They could be worth less, they could be more. The biggest issue I have here is they look too good to be true.
All right, so bad examples there. You've got the employee telling the other side, well, hey, I own a candy shop. I'd love to have this. Don't tell them that. And then the other side comes back with, he does something bad as well. He communicates to the other side, oh, my wife really wants me to get rid of this. I can't come back home to my wife, with this item. So two bad examples. Then in the next one, gosh, this item you're trying to sell, it looks just too good to be true. Well, don't say that. I mean, yeah, he's trying to communicate that it could be a fraud, which is fine. Maybe it is. But if it comes back and it's not a fraud, you've just said it looks too good to be true. So it's going to be really hard to try to negotiate a low price after you've said something like that. And then the final example, don't tell the other side your strategy. If you're trying to lowball them and set a low anchor, something we'll talk about later, if you tell them you're lowballing them, you've taken away the ability of that low number to do any good. Which brings us to the next set of examples that we're going to go over. In this video series, we've talked about how you want to be first and you want to be high, kind of be extreme in your offer, and you also want to be confident. And the reason for this is because when you give a high number, if you're the seller, you are anchoring the buyer to that high number, which is what you want. Because when somebody is anchored to a high number, just like a real anchor, it's hard for them to drift too far away from that high number, okay? But if you are not confident in how you say that high number, you've squandered your ability to set that anchor. So if you say, for these 5 reasons, that's why it's worth at least $5,000. That's what I want today, $5,000. So you've set a powerful anchor there. But if you go in there and you say, I don't know, I mean, 5,000, I'd take a lot less, but I don't know, let's start with 5,000. If you say something like that, you haven't set any kind of an anchor. So you have to be really confident in how you make your initial offer, which is exactly what these people in these coming up clips did not do.
How much do you want for it?
You only get one of these a lifetime, in my opinion. I'm going to tell you 50 grand. That's a start,
Yeah,
Hey,
that's definitely a start.
Well, hey.
We all got to start somewhere.
That's right.
I think you're asking way too much.
Okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
I'd give you $1,000 for it.
We're asking, honestly, I'd be ecstatic with 30.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, if I got $100 for it, I'd be ecstatic.
I was hoping to get $500 if that's possible.
All right, so those were more bad examples, Well, 50,000, but that's just a start, Go ahead and offer me a lot less. He says, you're not going to hurt my feelings. You don't want to communicate that to the other side. And then some of the other examples, boy, I'd be ecstatic with $30,000. Or if I got $100, I'd be ecstatic. Don't communicate that. And then, I'm hoping for $500 if possible. Don't communicate to the other side the information that you're desperate, because they'll take advantage of that. All right, and the next topic is you can also convey information non-verbally. So let's say you've got an item, you're trying to sell it, somebody asks you how much for that item, you say $500, and their response is, oh, okay, all right. And then they pick it up, and look at it even closer after you've said that. Well, they're communicating to you pretty clearly that they think 500 is a pretty good price. So when it comes down to the negotiation, you're probably not going to have to give in that much at all. Okay, but let's rewind that scenario. Let's say somebody asks you how much, and the second you say it's $500, they go, oh goodness. They're communicating to you that they're not going to pay anywhere near $500, and if you want to make a deal with them, you're going to have to come way down. So that second person is negotiating from a far more powerful position than that first person. You're probably going to be willing to go down a little bit more with the second person than the first person. Okay, that's called flinching, what that second person did. He kind of flinched at oh gosh, that's a lot of money. And it can be a powerful thing if you do it correctly. And it comes in a lot of different forms. So laughing, this is probably not recommended, but laughing at an initial offer would also be considered a flinch. So here's an example of that.
So what do you want to do with this?
I'm here to sell it today.
How much do you want for it?
I'm asking $20,000.
Okay, all right.
So even just laughing and not saying any words can communicate a lot to the other side. Also, the timing can communicate things. If somebody says, I want $500, and you immediately say, no, I can't do that, that's too high, okay? But if they say 500 and you go, kind of look at the item, and you go, nah, I can't do that, that's too high. Well, that communicates something too. You're not really too assertive, you're not too confident in that 500. That might communicate to the other side, well, maybe I can get him up to 500. Also, kind of on the flip side, in a lot of the other videos, you'll see the pawn store employees, someone will come in, they'll say, how much do you want for this item? They'll give a really big number given the item. They'll say, like, I want $4,000. And instead of flinching and saying, oh, $4,000 for this, they'll say, okay, well, let me go talk to this guy. Let me come back to you. So that communicates that the other side is probably thinking, oh, okay, well, I guess my $4,000 offer is pretty reasonable, and maybe I will get my $4,000. So you don't want to do that. It's good to flinch in that way. So finally, this can kind of be taken to a more advanced level. If, as we've demonstrated, it's really bad when those people communicate too much information, when the customers do, that means that if we can get the other side to a negotiation to communicate that type of information to us, then that's going to be really good for our side. Okay, so there's things that we can do. You want to ask questions to get information, as in anything in life, but you want to ask specific kind of questions. If you ask closed-ended questions like yes or no questions, you're probably not going to get any really valuable information, because you can't just ask somebody, are you desperate to sell this today, yes or no? Everybody's just going to say no. If you ask a question like, how many years have you owned this item? If they say 9 years, that didn't really give you any valuable information about their mental state today trying to sell this item. How much do you want for this item? You were going to get that information anyway. You want to ask open-ended questions like, so why are you looking to sell today? If you'll see in the videos, they'll say that a lot. Why are you looking to sell today? If the other side says, because my wife said if I come back home with this item, she's going to kill me, that's going to be a pretty easy negotiation for you. That was very good information to get, and you just had to ask a nice open-ended question. Somebody says, I'd like to get $10,000, and you say, okay, how did you arrive at that number? Actually, that was a bad example. You shouldn't say, okay, how did you arrive? You'd want to say, oh, 10,000? No, how did you arrive at that number? Do you want to do that flinching? And finally, you get information by doing your research. Okay, researching, the item, researching this person, maybe their business, if it's a business negotiation, doing your research, doing the work, you gain information on the other side that can be valuable. All right, so as always, here's the links to the other videos. They're also down below. And if you have any questions or constructive criticism, just put them in the comments below. I do check those and address those, and I will see you in the next video.